Firewall. Dear learners, today we are going to discuss about firewall. Introduction. A firewall is a system designed to prevent unauthorized access to or from a private network connected to the internet, implemented in both hardware and software or a combination of both. Firewalls can be an effective device for protecting a local system or a network of systems from network-based security threats, while at the same time providing access to the outside world via wide area networks and the internet. It is a device that allows multiple networks to communicate with one another according to a defined security policy and are used when there is a need for networks of varying levels of trust to communicate with one another. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, one will be able to come to know how firewall came into being and what it is. Have in-depth knowledge about the need of firewall and the design goals. Understand the techniques used by firewall to enforce security and its capabilities. Recognize the limitations of firewall. To elaborate the working of a firewall. Have in-depth knowledge about the types of firewall and firewall architecture. Now, let us see how firewall came into being. Preceding firewalls, network security was performed by access control lists known as ACLs, which are rules that determine whether network access should be granted or denied to specific IP address and resided on routers. But ACLs does not have the ability to determine the nature of packet it blocks, nor can keep threads out of the network, which led to the introduction of firewall. A firewall is nothing but a type of digital fence put up on a computer or network to protect it from malicious content or unauthorized access, because they act as a type of filter in network security, allowing or disallowing incoming or outgoing activities based on security measures, and is either a physical device or a software program used to provide security for the system. Let us see what is a firewall. Firewall is defined as a network security device which is either hardware or software based to monitor all incoming and outgoing traffic, establishing a barrier between secured internal networks and outside untrusted networks such as internet. The networks which are inside the firewall are often called trusted networks, whereas networks which are outside the firewall are called untrusted networks. Based on a defined set of security rules, it accepts, reject and drop the specified traffic accordingly. Accept, allow the traffic. Reject, block the traffic but reply unreachable error. Drop, block the traffic without any reply. Let us see what is the need for firewall. Information systems in corporations, government agencies and other organizations have undergone a steady evolution since every organization has internet connectivity in which the various premises networks all hook into the internet, making it no longer optional for organizations because the information and services available are indispensable to the organization. However, while internet access provides benefits to the organization, it enables the outside world to reach and interact with local network assets, which creates a threat to the organization. Although it is possible to equip each workstation and server on the premises network with strong security features, it may not be sufficient and cost effective when a network with hundreds or even thousands of systems run various operating systems. Therefore, a widely accepted alternative security service is the firewall, which is inserted between the premises network and the internet to establish a control link and insulates the internal systems from external networks. The firewall may be a single computer system or a set of two or more systems that cooperate to perform the defense function following the classic military doctrine philosophy. The design goals for a firewall. The goals or principles to design a firewall are as follows. All traffic from inside to outside and vice versa must pass through the firewall, which can be achieved by physically blocking all access to the local network except via the firewall. Only authorized traffic as defined by the local security policy will be allowed to pass through the firewall, and the unauthorized traffic will be either rejected or dropped. The firewall itself is immune to penetration, which implies the use of a trusted computer system with a secured operating system to host a firewall. Now, let us discuss about the techniques used by firewall to enforce security. The general techniques that firewalls use to control access and enforce the local security policy are as follows. Service control. The service control performs the function of determining the types of internet services that can be accessed inbound and outbound. The firewall filters the traffic on the basis of IP address, protocol, port number. It might also provide proxy software that receives and interprets each service request before passing it on. The next is the direction control. Direction control performs the function of determining the direction in which particular service requests may be initiated and allowed to flow through the firewall. User control. User control performs the function of determining the access to a service according to which user is attempting to access it. This type of access control is typically applied to local users who are inside the firewall perimeter. The incoming traffic from external users requires some form of secure authentication technology to ensure security. The next is the behavior control. Behavior control performs the function of determining how particular services are used, such as filtering email to eliminate spam, enabling external access to only a portion of the information on a local web server, etc. Capabilities of a firewall. The following capabilities lie within the scope of a firewall. A firewall defines a single choke point that hinders unauthorized users out of the protected network, prohibiting vulnerable services from entering or leaving the network, thus giving protection from various kinds of IP spoofing and routing attacks. The single choke point is used to simplify security management due to the security capabilities being consolidated on a single system or a set of systems. A firewall provides a location for detecting and informing security related events. Audits can be done to ensure compliance with established security policies as well as recommend necessary changes in controls and policies on the firewall system. Alarms can be implemented on the firewall system for alerting when security policies are broken. The firewall can be used to implement virtual private networks using tunnel mode. It helps to increase the overall host security by protecting the network from vulnerable services, control access to certain sites, concentrated security through policy enhancement, enhanced privacy. Firewalls in business. Large corporations use firewalls to protect their extensive networks. On the outbound side, firewalls can be set up to prohibit employees from sending certain types of emails or transmitting sensitive data outside of the network, while on the inbound side, firewalls can be programmed to prohibit access to certain websites such as social networking sites. Firewalls for personal use. The significant goal of a firewall for personal use is to protect the personal computer and private network from malicious disruption. Viruses are the common type of malware that can be transmitted to any computer through email or over the internet and can quickly cause a lot of damage to the files, which can be prevented by the use of a firewall by allowing all traffic to pass through except data that meets a predefined set of criteria, or by prohibiting all traffic unless it meets a predetermined set of criteria. Let us discuss about the limitations of firewall. The limitations of the firewall are as follows. The firewall is not capable of protecting against attacks that bypass the firewall, such as dial-up connection. The firewall cannot protect fully against internal threats such as a dissatisfied or frustrated employee cooperates with an external attacker. An internal firewall that separates portions of an enterprise network does not have the capability to guard against wireless communications between local systems on various sides of the internal firewall. The firewall cannot protect against the transfer of virus infected programs or files such as laptops or portable storage device which is used and infected outside the corporate network, then being attached and used internally. Working of a firewall. The working of the firewall is based on a defined set of rules against which the network traffic is matched. The associate action is applied to the network traffic once the rules based on the necessity and the security policies of the organization are matched. To illustrate with an example, rules are defined like no employee from HR department is allowed to access the data from code server, and at the same time another rule is defined like the system administrator is allowed to access the data from both HR and technical department. The network traffic can be either outgoing or incoming in a server. Hence, the firewall maintains distinct set of rules for both the cases. Mostly, the outgoing traffic originated to pass, but setting rule on outgoing traffic is better in order to achieve more security and prevent unwanted communication. incoming traffic is treated differently from outgoing traffic. The port number and the type code of the transport layer protocols such as TCP, UDP or ICMP are used to identify the purpose of that packet, and then decision is made whether to accept, reject or drop that traffic. It is very difficult to obviously cover every possible rule on firewall. Therefore, firewall must always have a default policy which only consists of either accept or reject or drop. If no rule is defined about the SSH connection to the server on firewall, it will follow default policy, and if default policy on firewall is set to accept, then any computer outside the organization can establish SSH connection to the server. Hence, setting default policy as drop or reject is always a good practice. The types of firewall. Firewalls are generally of two types, namely host based firewall and network based firewall. Now let us see what is a network based firewall. The network based firewall is usually a dedicated system with proprietary software installed and function on network level by filtering all incoming and outgoing traffic across the network. The network based firewall protects the internal network by filtering the traffic using rules defined on firewall, but cannot provide protection inside a trusted network. The next is the host based firewall. The host based firewall is a software application or suite of applications which comes as a part of operating system installed on each network node to control every incoming and outgoing packet. The host based firewall protects each host from attacks and unauthorized access. Now let us discuss about the types of firewall architectures. Right now, the firewall architecture is broadly classified into 5 different types, namely packet filtering firewalls, stateful inspection firewalls, circuit level gateways, application level gateways or proxy firewalls, next generation firewalls. Packet filtering firewalls. As the most basic and oldest type of firewall architecture, packet filtering is the simplest packet screening method. A packet filtering firewall does exactly what its name implies. It filters packets by basically creating a checkpoint at a traffic router or switch. The packet filtering process is accomplished in the following manner by performing a simple check of the data packets coming through the route, inspecting information such as the destination and origination, IP address, packet type, port number and other surface level information without opening up the packet to inspect its contents. As each packet passes through the firewall, it is examined and the information contained in the header is compared to a predefined set of rules, and then allow or deny decision is made based on the results of the comparison. Every packet is examined and inspected individually without regard to other packets that are also a part of the same connection. The advantages of using a packet filtering firewall. Stateful inspection firewalls. The stateful inspection firewalls combine both packet filtering technology and TCP handshake verification to create a greater level of protection. However, these firewalls do put more of a strain on computing resources which slow down the transfer of legitimate packets. The next is the application level gateway or proxy firewall. an application level gateway or proxy firewall is considered to be the most complex packet screening method. This type of firewall is implemented on a secure two network interfaces and operates at the application layer to filter incoming traffic between the specified network and the traffic source, hence known as application level gateway. The application level gateway or proxy firewall acts as an intermediary between the two endpoints, namely the source and the destination. This type of firewall architecture breaks the client or server model such that two connections are required, one from the source to the gateway or proxy, one from the gateway or proxy to the destination. The source and the destination can communicate with the other only by passing through the gateway or the proxy. Rather than letting traffic connect directly from source to destination, the application level gateway or the proxy firewall first establishes a connection to the source of the traffic and inspects the incoming data packet. This check is done to both the packet and the TCP handshake protocol, and once the check is complete, the packet is approved to connect to the destination. The application level gateways or the proxy firewalls may also perform deep layer packet inspections, checking the actual contents of the information packets to verify that it contains no malware, creating additional anonymity and protection for the network. The drawback to application level gateways or the proxy firewalls is that they can create significant slowdown because of the extra steps in the data packet transfer process. The next is the circuit level gateway firewall. Unlike a packet filtering firewall, instead of examining individual packets, circuit level gateways monitor TCP or UDP sessions. Once a session has been established, it leaves the port open to allow all other packets belonging to that session to pass, and the port is closed when the session is terminated. The circuit level gateways operate at the transport layer and is a simplistic type of firewall architecture that is meant to quickly and easily approve or deny traffic without consuming significant computing resources and work by verifying the transmission control protocol handshake. The TCP handshake check is designed to make sure that the session the packet is from is legitimate, but these firewalls do not check the packet itself. Hence, if a packet held malware but had the right TCP handshake, it would pass right through. Therefore, the circuit level gateway firewalls are not much secure for businesses. Next, let us see about the next generation firewalls. They are also known as NGFW. Firewalls have evolved beyond simple packet filtering and stateful inspection to new generation firewalls in order to block modern threats such as advanced malware and application layer attacks. The next generation firewall architectures include deep packet inspection for checking the actual contents of the data packet, TCP handshake checks, and surface level packet inspection, including technologies such as intrusion prevention systems that work to automatically stop attacks against the specified network. No idea of specifically what capabilities the next generation firewall has, but provides integrated antivirus, spam filtering, deep packet inspection, and application control using a single device or console, thus reducing infrastructural complexities. In general, a next generation firewall must include standard capabilities like stateful inspection firewall, integrated intrusion detection and prevention, application awareness and the ability to find and block risky apps, techniques to resolve evolving security threats. The next is the threat focused next generation firewall. The threat focused next generation firewall include all the capabilities of a traditional NGFW along with advanced threat detection and prevention. With a threat focused next generation firewall alone can know which components in the network are most at risk with complete framework awareness, rapidly react to attacks with intelligent security automation that sets policies to defense dynamically, direct deceitful or suspicious activity with network and endpoint event correlation. Greatly reduce the time from detection to cleanup with continuous monitoring for suspicious activity and behavior even after initial inspection is administration. Conclusion. Now we have come to the end of this session. So let's summarize what we have seen. Firewalls have been a first line of defense in network security for over 25 years by establishing a barrier between secured and inhibited internal networks that can be trusted and untrusted outside networks such as the internet. A firewall is a network security device that is used to monitor both incoming and outgoing network traffic based on a defined set of security rules. In simple words, the firewall is a boundary or a wall to keep intruders from attacking the network. The strongest advantage of a firewall is that it is capable of isolating a computer from external threats. Hope you learners enjoyed this session. Thank you.